My grandpa used to say, "I'm not eating much, but I still feel dizzy." At first, I brushed it off. He's just getting older, I thought. But one morning, I sat across from him as he finished his breakfast. White bread dipped in sweetened, condensed milk, something he had loved for decades. 30 minutes later, he turned pale. His hands trembled. He sat quietly, not saying a word. And in that moment, I realized it wasn't just age. It was the food. The same meals that had once nourished him at 40 were now hurting him at 75. As we grow older, especially with diabetes, our bodies shift. Digestion slows. Sugar tolerance weakens. The same bites no longer mean the same thing. And right then, I knew we had to change how we fed Grandpa. Not just less sugar, but smarter choices. Choices that respected his age, that protected his health, that kept his dignity. After that scary morning, I sat down and researched every food Grandpa had been eating. I realized he needed something warm, slow to digest, and stable. So the next morning, I made him a bowl of oatmeal cooked with unsweetened almond milk, added a spoonful of chia seeds, and topped it with a few slices of banana. I gave him a boiled egg on the side and a warm cup of green tea. He smiled when he saw it. "Looks fancy," he said. But the real magic? By 10 a.m., no more shaking, no more sweating, just calm. That oatmeal wasn't just breakfast. It was a turning point. A quiet act of care that whispered, "I see you, I want you well." Now it's our ritual. Each morning begins not just with food, but with love, healing, and a silent promise that says, "You matter." Around 10:30 a.m., Grandpa would slump in his chair, rubbing his temples gently and murmur, "Is it lunch yet?" It wasn't hunger. It was his blood sugar, quietly dipping again, like a tide pulling back before the next wave. That's when I knew he didn't need a meal. He needed a moment. So I began preparing him something small, soft, and soothing. His favorite. A small glass of unsweetened soy milk with a spoonful of chia seeds. Some mornings I'd switch it up. A slice of soft tofu, a few cool cucumber sticks, and always a cloth napkin folded neatly beside the cup. He'd sit by the window, the light tracing his profile, swirling the seeds and saying, "They look like tiny fish swimming." And I'd smile, because that moment, quiet, steady, filled with care, became our gentle bridge from breakfast to lunch. No spikes, no crashes, just rhythm, just love. Before we changed Grandpa's meals, lunch was always the hardest part of the day. He'd eat a big bowl of white rice, fried pork, and pickled vegetables. It was what he'd always eaten, what he loved. But after lunch, his body would betray him. Heavy eyelids, a dizzy head, a quiet sigh as he sank into the couch. That's when I knew something had to change. So I started making him a new kind of lunch, grilled salmon, just lightly seasoned with garlic and a splash of lemon juice. On the side, steamed kale and carrots and a small serving of brown rice. No oil, no spice, just warmth, softness, and balance on a plate. He took the first bite, chewed slowly, then smiled. "This kale tastes like the ones my mother used to grow." That day, there was no sleepiness, no brain fog, just a peaceful face and a quiet stroll in the garden after. Sometimes, the right lunch doesn't just feed the stomach, it restores a little bit of who they used to be. Every afternoon, like clockwork, Grandpa would get that sparkle in his eyes. "Just a little something sweet," he'd say with a grin, already reaching for those old biscuits or pieces of dried mango. I didn't want to scold him. I didn't want to take away that tiny joy, so I made a trade. I started blending a green smoothie, a simple mix of celery, green apple, lemon juice, and a few slices of fresh ginger. It was light, bright, and naturally sweet, without a single spoon of sugar. Some afternoons, I'd pour it into popsicle molds, and we'd sit on the porch like kids, licking our afternoon chill sticks, as he called them. And the best part? No sugar spikes, no guilt. Just cool air, quiet smiles, and the feeling that yes, sweetness can still exist, even with diabetes. Dinner used to be a quiet battle. Grandpa didn't eat much, but when he did, white noodles or those overly salty canned soups, his nights would be restless. He'd toss, turn, and sometimes wake gasping for air. So I changed our rhythm. I made him a warm bowl of lentil soup, gently simmered with carrots and celery. I placed a small slice of whole grain bread beside it, and on another plate, a bok choy salad dressed with a light drizzle of sesame oil. When I first served it, he looked down, blinked twice, then softly said, "This feels like something Mom would have made." That night he slept, all the way till morning. No bloating, no sugar swings, just calm. Those simple plates on our dinner table didn't just change his numbers. They changed his nights. They gave him peace. At the end of that day, I watched Grandpa do something beautifully ordinary. He washed his own cup, wiped the table clean, and softly hummed an old folk song I hadn't heard in years. It might not sound like much, but that quiet joy, that lightness in his step, to me it was everything. For months we'd been chasing numbers, counting carbs, checking glucose, bracing for hospital visits. But that evening, something shifted. He wasn't just surviving, he was coming back to life. And it all started with small choices. A warm bowl, a kind plate, a bit of care folded into every meal. Because when food is chosen with love, it stops being just fuel. It becomes dignity. It becomes connection. It becomes peace. If you're watching this and thinking of your grandparent, your parent, or maybe your future self, then this is your moment. You don't need to be a doctor. You don't need a professional kitchen. You just need a little love, a little care, and one small beginning. One change, one bowl, one day. That's how our story started. And that's how yours can begin too. Share this video with someone who's caring for an elder with diabetes. Try just one recipe. Sit down and eat together. Because every meal prepared with love is a step toward healing. A step toward dignity. A step toward real connection. If this story touched your heart, please like, subscribe, and join us on this journey. Together, let's build a world where our elders don't just survive, but thrive with joy, respect, and peace.